To give you an example, let's say, of a controversia between a male who wants to court a woman, and he makes his first entreaty by using a form of verse. It's usually called a copla. It's 4 lines of verse. And he will say something like, you know, you're the woman that I put my eye on, and I'm going to make you my wife and all that. And she kind of rejects him. And then it goes on and on, right? Until finally it gets resolved that, let's say, she doesn't like this man and all that. And it ends up in something that people enjoy, seeing this kind of dispute between a man trying to court a woman and a woman playing very coy. So I have one that I wrote here that's quite common. And I'll read to you in Spanish and then translate the version of the male and what he says to the woman, and then how she would answer him. Mind you, this could be done either orally or it could be done in music, following the seis de controversia, which is danced to in the Jíbaro tradition, the Puerto Rican peasant tradition. So he would say something like, quiera la vieja o no quiera, y aunque al viejo le esté malo, te voy a hacer mi mujer en la iglesia de este pueblo. In other words, whether your mother or your father agrees or not, I'm going to make you my wife right in the church of this town. And she would answer, of course she's not going to say, well, I'm thrilled about that, and you know, I hope you sweep me off my feet. She's going to play coy, and she's going to show whether or not she likes this guy or not. So she would answer something like, tú te crees muy presumido y te las echas de guapo, y es de todos bien sabido que tienes los ojos de sapo. So she says, well, you think you're all that, you think you're all that hot and everything else, but everybody knows very well that your eyes stick out like those of a frog. So you can see that this can get pretty hairy sometimes, depending on how the responses go. But it is a form of a dispute. And it could take also the form of politics, which sometimes could end up in a fight. You know, in the old Jíbaro tradition, sometimes controversias could be tinderboxes, because all kinds of feelings could come out. But they were all done very tastefully sometimes in verse form. And you had to be able to take the ribbing that went along with it. It's not very different than what we see, for example, with in many of the inner city neighborhoods when kids rank on each other, what we call ranking, or in African American culture what was known as the dozens. Right? So this has a long tradition that goes back, at least in terms of Hispanic cultures, it goes back to Spain. It goes back to Moorish as well as Spanish traditions, beginning with these poems, in which there was a way of trying to prove that one was better than the other, or that one culture was superior to the other. And we have inherited that and adapted it to our own culture in Puerto Rico.